really a great thing for coaches to get together and talk, even though it's online, and do some football in the off season like this. Um, my presentation is about mental skills competency, and what I mean by that is the use of mental skills to create excellence, basically on the field. It applies to all sports, but especially to the game of football. And I'm going to start with a little quote from my favorite philosopher, Lawrence Yogi Berra. And Yogi said that football is 90% mental and the other half is physical. Well, I believe that 100%. I believe the key to the game overall is the mental phase, and that's how you establish consistency. Um, by mental skills, what I'm talking about is intrinsic skills and capabilities which assist in the execution of physical performance. Uh, I just picked out five athletes who I do a lot of reading about mental skills. It's kind of a pastime for me, and I found these prominent athletes really are a big time into mental skills. Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer, is really into a visualization and mental skills. LeBron James, the greatest athlete in the world, he has his own app in mental skills called Calm. Tom Brady, we don't have to say much about him. He's big into mental skills. He has his own sports psychologist as part of his cadre of assistants. Russell Wilson is big into mental skills. He talks about he thinks that all athletes should have their own mantra. And Rory McIlroy, the number one golfer in the world, uh, has raised his position in the PGA this year, and he says the whole reason for his improvement is mental skills, basically. So those are five athletes who are really into mental skills. Okay, just a little introduction. Um, I kind of believe it's not what you do, but it's how you do it. And you want to take care of your own square. There's a lot of ways to get it done. This will be my 49th year in football as a coach this year, and I've seen a lot of different offenses and defense. I've seen wing T, I've seen option, I've seen I've seen spread, I've seen double wing, I've seen all kinds of them, and I've seen a lot of people do it well. But basically, what you want to do is take care of the mental aspect, and everything else falls in place. And I really believe in taking care of your own square. We certainly prepare for opponents. The number one group we prepare for is our own people. We want to take care of our uh, own square and our own people. Mental skills competency. Utilizing mental skills to the fullest, relevant to your program and your culture. Mental skills fit into any type of culture, any program. It really doesn't matter. The thing is, they're difficult to measure, but they're very trainable. You can train them just like anything else, just like you train weight training skills, just like you train all skills. Mental skills can be trained also. Um, how do mental skills relate to performance? They're the key to consistent excellence. I personally, I really admire people together, people who put together a consistent program that's excellent over the long term. So teams like the Patriots, their excellence is off the charts. There are a lot of high school teams that are consistently excellent. I think those teams that are consistently excellent really do a great job with their mental skills. How they're related or how they're unique to football, excuse me, to the game itself. Football, as we know, is a different game. It is a very unique game. It's a great game. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of moving parts to football. You have the offense, defense, five special teams. You have 11 people on the field at once. You have all kinds of things that can happen. You have transitions in the game. The mental skills are very unique to football because it's so dynamic. There's so much to it. Also, I think mental skills are very important for the carryover that they have to life skills. And the National Football Foundation, of which I'm a member, and Jack Cosgrove is our president in Maine, and Skip's on the board also. Uh, their initiative the last 2 years has been Football Matters. They have highlighted the mental skills that are important to football, and um, it's kind of a national push to make football um, well known and how much it matters. The mental skills are important there. How, as coaches, can we create better competency for mental skills? Four steps, I think. Uh, our process is with identify what mental skills we want to emphasize, We want to highlight those that we want to emphasize. We want to have a plan, basically, to refine and develop those mental skills. Then we want to execute that plan. No different than teaching a kid how to squat. The same thing. Identify it, highlight it, plan it, execute it. The skills that I'm going to prioritize today, there's more than nine. I'm going to prioritize nine because it fit well into an hour, basically. Excuse me. Self-motivation, resilience, which I think is very important today, discipline, confidence, interval focus, positivity, delayed gratification, role acceptance / synergy, and result detachment. And as I said, kind of as a pastime, I do a lot of reading in the mental skills area, and those seem to be very important for the game of football. And in the presentation, I'll try to make them as relevant as possible, try to give you an idea or two that you can integrate in your program. I'm not going to tell you how to run it, but I'm going to give you an idea or two. And I'm going to try to give you resources if you're interested in any particular skill where you can get more information. Okay, my email is right there, wolfgamjoe@hotmail.com. If you want to contact me for anything, basically, either about this presentation or any other writings that I have. Okay, written format, introduction to the team. Right, how do we basically introduce our mental skills to the team? First thing we have is we have a mission statement every year. I think a lot of teams do. I think it's very, very important. I think it's important that any operation, business, school, football team, needs a mission statement. We introduce it in our first meeting every year. In our mission statement, we have a motto for the season. We have a narrative that covers our strengths and our challenges this particular year. We have the schedule we're going to see for the year and opponents for the year and our mission statement. We give it to the kids. It's really the only major handout we give the kids all year. That's our mission statement. It has in the narrative, it always includes 2 or 3 of the most important mental skills that are important this year. On our bulletin board concerning mental skills, we have a defensive goal sheet, which always mentions several mental skills. We have what are called the 10 cardinal principles of Cheverus football. This is something I've done all the way back to my Madison days. I've tweaked it over the last 49 years, but I've always had it. Principles we believe in, what we think are important, and they're all evolving around mental skills, basically. And kind of an interesting thing that we do with our cardinal principles. Coach Vance, who's the head coach now, every day before we go to practice, he'll put a principle on the board. He'll put mental principle number 1. And at the beginning of practice, for the first 30 seconds, he'll ask somebody, all right, what's kind of principle number 1? And they have to know it's a golden rule. Basically, they have to summarize it in like 10 seconds. And most of the kids get it, but sometimes if they don't, they might have to do a few push-ups. And what we want to do is we want to make these mental skills relevant and make sure the kids understand what they're all about. Also on the bulletin board, we have 2 philosophies. We have, first of all, a philosophy of excellence. It comes from Aristotle, a good friend of mine from 3,000 years ago. And Aristotle said, excellence is not an act, but a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. And I believe in that 100%. You know, sometimes people think excellence is performance. It's not. It's habit. Basically, how you come to the performance. Then we have a philosophy of chemistry or synergy. And again, this goes back to my Madison days. It's amazing how much can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit. It's funny. I got this like 49 years ago. I didn't download it. I got it. I put it on the board back then. And I still use the same cardboard cutout that I used back in the Madison days. And now it's got like 45 different thumbtack holes in it. So that's kind of how we introduce the mental skills.
Hey, Coach.
Yes.
I'm going to stop for a second. Is there a way you can turn up your audio a little bit? Some of the guys are having a little bit of a hard time hearing you.
I can't, Mike. I had problems before, but I got it. Not maximum. I'll try.
Okay.
Okay. I've got it. Thanks for the comment. I had problems before. I had my IT guy look at it, but Okay, I'm gonna have to go with this. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay? All right. Is that better, Mike?
Oh, yeah, coach.
Okay. All right. Is that better? Is any better?
A little bit. Just speak up and be as close to the mic as you can.
I'll try. Okay.
Thanks, coach.
Okay, good. All right. Mental skill number one: self-motivation. Internally driven motivation that is unaffected by outside factors. We got Russell Wilson right there, who I think is one of the more self-motivated players in the NFL. He's a great guy. Uses all of his skills very well, and I think he's a really good model as a self-motivator. Self-motivation, the building block of any team, is the cornerstone of motivation. It's intrinsic motivation. It is self-driven, engaged, self-oriented. Some of the traits of a self-motivated player: they're consistent, they're dependable, they're not impacted by outside factors. By outside factors, I mean trophies, awards, things like that. They're intrinsically motivated. Player characteristics. A self-motivator would be a problem solver. A strong practice player would lead by example. Okay, some of the things that I think you can do as a coach, Mike, is that better? Mike, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, coach, I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. Some of the things to enhance self-motivation is some of your players already are self-motivated. We want to highlight them. Some people have already learned self-motivation, which is great. You want to build around those. Those are your role models. Those are your leaders. We've been very fortunate at Cheverus over the last 10 to 12 years to have a really good group of self-motivators. We had Peter Gwillem, who ended up going to Ohio State. He was involved with some success out there. We had Jordan Holman, who ended up going to Connecticut on a full scholarship. He's a great self-motivator. We had Donnie Goodrich a couple years ago, went to UNH, ended up being a captain at UNH. We had Joe Fitzpatrick, who went to Orono, great self-motivator, ended up being their tailback up there. So you want to build around the self-motivators. What else we do is we define it early and often, beginning with the first team meeting, as in our mission statement. We promote it as one of our cardinal principles. We build our award system around it. Kind of interesting enough, we have something we call the Champions Club. This is an idea I picked up from Bo Schembechler in Michigan back in the 1970s, mid-1970s. And he had a club built around self-motivated players, and there's a T-shirt involved. We give away those T-shirts to people who are self-motivated. We do it incrementally over the season. So at the end of the first practice, we give a T-shirt to the person who won our physical training session, our test, basically. Then each week, coaches get together and say, okay, who else are we going to bring into the Champions Club? And gradually, one by one, we're bringing the kids throughout the year. Kind of a model of what we want for performance. Basically, it's a self-motivator and a person who's internally driven. As I mentioned before, we want to highlight examples, former players, nationally prominent football players like Russell Wilson, for instance. We want to provide opportunities to display self-motivation in all phases, like in the off-season, in the weight program, we have opportunities to goal set, become a self-motivator. The summer workouts is a great time to work on self-motivation, and in practice and games, to provide opportunities to work on self-motivation. Okay, mental skill number two, resilience. A picture of Julian Edelman there, and I think if anybody is a model of resilience in the NFL and the league, that guy is. Okay, the definition of resilience: the ability to face adversity, effectively problem solve, and address challenging events successfully. We're talking about grit. We're talking about mental toughness. We're talking about perseverance. That's what we're talking about. Especially appropriate to the game of football, because football is about all those things and resilience. There's often a difference between success and failure. A couple of studies that I've read recently that resilience is a more important factor than talent in terms of success and performance. Resilience is more important than talent. Players who display grit show leadership, disciplined leadership, treat setbacks as challenges, make tough plays in the clutch. Basically, our response to adversity is the key, not the adversity, a problem-solving posture. Basically, that's characteristic of resilience. Highlighting and enhancing resilience. Make resilience a core value in your program. Like I talked about, all these are core values. All these are kind of principles. Understand football, there are no shortcuts. It takes patience, hard work, and fundamentals to win, basically. Fundamentals win. Coach Cosgrove mentioned fundamentals so many times last night in this meeting. I believe the same thing. I've always been a fundamentalist. I think that's extremely important. We want to provide practice opportunities to develop mental toughness, opportunities to compete, one versus ones. Some of our offensive line work, we try to go one versus one. On offense and defense, we try to go one versus ones. We want to create pivotal game-like situations around time and score, and execution situations in a fatigue environment. That's, I think, one good way to promote mental toughness is do something that taxes the kids, and then go back and execute something that is refined, something that's difficult. I'll give you an example. Halfway through our defensive practice, we often have a core development session. We'll work on core explosion. For instance, we'll do an up-down sprint where starting defense will hit the ground, come off the ground, explode for 30 yards. And the second defense will do it, then the third defense will do it. We'll do that a couple times. Then we do some grass drills, about 10 seconds. We do that basically to work on our core strength. And as soon as we're done, we'll do a refined activity. We'll run a play. We'll run a defensive sudden change play. We want to punish something like that after we created a fatigued environment. So we try to create artificial, difficult situations that force them to be gritty and be mentally tough. Okay, anybody who's interested in grit, Angela Duckworth is probably the prominent person in the country. She's an instructor at Penn University, University of Pennsylvania. She's got a book on grit that is outstanding. She has a TED Talk that lasts about 10 minutes on grit. Good stuff. The Harvard Book Review, 10 must-reads on mental toughness, is the #1 book on the New York Times bestsellers. It is a paperback #1 book, and it's been on there for a long time about mental toughness. It's a really good read. People probably think I'm crazy to read a book on mental toughness, but I like that kind of stuff. Okay, mental skill #3, discipline. The ability and the mindset to do the right thing in any situation. It's essential to success in team sports and individual sports. There's a combination of emotional factors, emotional skills. It's a combination of character, self-control, commitment, determination, and focus. In team sports, it promotes unity, efficiency, role acceptance, and high-level motivation. It's essential to execution in all phases. The great thing about football, it's essential in offense, defense, and the kick game. The thing about the game of football is it doesn't tolerate any breakdowns. One person breaks down the play's gone. Football is about details and executing, executing to the highest level. So discipline obviously is very important in team sports. Our goal is to create a synergistic environment where the team performs at a high level because of the discipline commitment of the group. That's our goal, basically. We want to create a synergistic environment. We'll talk a little bit more about synergy later on. Synergistic teams, New England Patriots, University of Alabama, University of Virginia basketball team. When I think of discipline, basically, I think of the Patriots. And look at what they've done, the Super Bowls, Eastern Conference Championship, University of Alabama. Obviously, they've got great people, but their discipline is off the charts. They won 6 national championships in the last 10 years, which is amazing. University of Virginia basketball team. I look what Tony Bennett does with that team. You know, they don't have the greatest talent, but their discipline is off the charts. One thing about the game of football is you can teach individual discipline as it applies to team sports. And for instance, the mental emotion skills and individual discipline, self-awareness, focus, goal setting, work habits, mental toughness. We can help our athletes with these skills through a team fabric. That's one thing that personally I really like to do as a coach is help kids with their individual discipline so it can fit into a team framework. There's a lot of things you can do there. My example of an individually disciplined person is Lindsey Vaughn, who she's done some amazing things. She just retired last year. She won 82 Gold Cup races all over the world over a 19-year period, beating people 15 years younger than her. She had 5 different serious operations, basically, but she won 82 World Cup races, which was amazing. All right, how do you enhance the culture of team discipline? Again, you make it a core value in all phases of your program, on and off the field. I think off the field, there has to be a code of conduct based on good decision making and respect for everybody in the program. That's really important. I think as coaches, we can definitely develop a code of conduct. And I think most coaches do that. Off the field, on the field, details win. Fundamental excellence. Discipline permeates every level of the practice, from the warm-up to the indie work, to the group work, to the teamwork. We try to incorporate discipline in all phases. For instance, in our warm-up, basically, a couple of things we do in our warm-up. If we do a jumping jack, when we don't do 10 jumping jacks or 8, we vary the jumping jacks, and we make sure we're doing, let's say, 5 jumping jacks. The kids have to stop on 5. Everybody has to work together and sync. If they don't, they'll do 10 push-ups. So that's kind of a hokey thing, but we like to start practice with disciplined jumping jacks. When we do our up-downs coming off the ground at grass stroke, one thing we don't do is we don't touch the ground with our knees coming off. We explode using the upper body coming off the ground. We don't touch our knees. It's kind of different things we do in terms of fundamentals. When in terms of our indie work, as I work with the offensive line every day and coaches work with their indie groups, there's a lot of discipline involved. We get into our stance and starts, we get into our stance the same way every single day, basically. With our base, settling down, extending our hand, we do the same thing. Basically, there's a lot of discipline. There's a lot of discipline in our group work. There's a lot of different discipline in our teamwork. One thing that we do in our teamwork, if we're having problems, basically, we're not real sharp, we have what we call a stag call, and one of the coaches will just say verbally, and Chris Boyd, stags. And one of the captains will say, ready, hit. So when stags, players come to a hitting position, then we'll just clap, ready, hit. Basically, it refocuses them and brings discipline back to the team discipline. So, we do discipline things in all phases of our practice to try to make sure that we have discipline on the game day field when we get there. Our expectation is high energy, high focus, high execution, 0 tolerance for mental errors. We don't accept mental errors. I think it's important that coaches establish a model with discipline, beginning with a creative practice plan. And our reinforcement of our expectation. We're almost always positive. At times, we're a little bit punitive. At times, we call this accountability concepts. Sometimes we have to do something different. Sometimes we have to do a sprint. Sometimes we have to do some push-ups and some up-downs and things like that. It's kind of interesting. Every place I've been, we've always had like a marker that we run around. If we lose our discipline, like at South Portland, we used to have a shed that was like 100 yards away. If we lost our discipline for some reason, I would just say shed, and everybody would run around the shed and come back. When I got to Cheverus back in 2006, we didn't have a shed or anything like that, so I took an old dummy from the corner field. If for some reason we lost our discipline, I'd just say marker, and the kids would run around the dummy or the marker and in the back, basically. And it's not too difficult a thing, but just a reminder that we're going to be concentrating and focusing all the time. I also think as part of the discipline, we want to keep a sense of humor. All right, game day discipline. Practice expectation is carried over. We want a performance model. We want to play hard and smart every play for 48 minutes. That's basically what our model is, and we want to have that. We want a disciplined practice schedule so we can carry it over the game field and have fun doing it. For the game day, we want to trust our fundamentals. We've worked hard on fundamentals. In 5 days of preparation, we want to trust those fundamentals. We want to trust the team preparation. We want to adjust to the ebbs and flows of the game, with unexpected events, the adversity. Football is a game of transition, and a disciplined team can handle the transitions. Undisciplined teams have trouble doing that. A couple of my resources on discipline, uh, online athletic assessments, 10 characteristics of a high performance team, talks about discipline in on teams. All right, mental skill number 4, confidence. A strong affirming belief assisting the athlete to perform to a high level. My examples of confidence: Tom Brady, probably one of the most confident players to ever play the game. The GOAT, Drew Brees, has a great deal of confidence. Tiger Woods, greatest golfer of all time. People believe that his greatest skill is his mind, his confidence, not his driver or not his 9-iron. Greatest skill is his mind. Steph Curry, Alex Ovechkin, they're all very, very confident players. A little story about, side story about Steph Curry. I got a chance to see him play out in Salt Lake City 3 or 4 years ago. And my daughter was the nutritionist for the Jazz at the time. We went to the game about an hour and a half early because I wanted to watch the warm-ups. He was out there working on his ball skills, working on his fundamental ball skills for half an hour. Then he worked on his shooting skills for half an hour. He must have taken 150 shots. It's unbelievable how much he did just in preparation for the game. I know that obviously Tom Brady does the same thing. Tiger Woods, that's why they're so confident, because of their fundamentals. Okay, confidence is an abstract concept, difficult to achieve, but essential to perform. Some of the coaching factors related to confidence. Position placement. It's very important. Where we put kids is very important that they're confident. I think, one of the greatest things we can do for a player is put them in a position to be successful. Personally, I think that's our job. We want to put kids in a position to be successful. I think our communication style is important to confidence. Style that should be based on mutual respect, openness, trust, positivity. Intimidation typically breaks down more than builds up. Back when I started coaching back in the 70s, the predominant coaching style at all levels, whether it's the pro level, high school level, or college level, is pretty much intimidation. You face intimidation. We'll talk about that a little later on, but that's pretty much gone now. It really doesn't breed confidence. It kind of breaks down confidence. Establish an environment to compete to the highest level, in the best case, the zone. We all know what the zone is, but I think if a person can get in the zone, that's going to really enhance, develop, and refine confidence. The optimum mindset, which combines high-level physical execution with a keenly focused mind. Factors in the zone: uninhibited muscle execution and trust, but you don't think about the activity, you just trust, you just relax in your performance. Clear, stress-free mind, single play focus that eliminates all distractions, basically. So I call it kind of a relaxed awareness. Coaching concepts, how we can help our athletes create that mindset. Strong fundamentals, which I've mentioned several times. These must come through quality repetitions and hard work. There's only one way to get confidence, that's through quality reps. Doing things the right way and doing it over and over and over, repeating them. As coaches, we've got to find ways to do this and get kids to buy into it, the fundamentals of quality reps. I think we have to accent the player's strengths. I think we have to create competitive practice situations to slow down the game. And I think things like mental rehearsals are very important. We work hard with, like, our skilled people, mental rehearsals, the quarterbacks, for the release. I have an idea what the release looks like. We kind of talk about throwing darts. For the receivers, we work on memory rehearsing escapes coming off the line of scrimmage. We work on our offensive line. We start with a fit, whatever our block is, whether it's a shoulder block, a down block, a reach block. We also always start with a fit, get a mental picture. With our linebackers, again, we start with a fit. We start with either the profile fit, drive the 5 fit, whatever, to get a mental rehearsal first. Okay? And also, regarding the zone, we want to embellish the moment. The expectation is competing at the zone level, the high level is fun. Okay, resources for the zone, on-hand resources, understanding the zone in sports, basically. If you just go online, there's all kinds of stuff about the zone and confidence. Okay, mental skill number 5, internal focus definition. Concentrate fully and effectively in the present moment. We call this interval focus, right? Essential in all sports. It's difficult to achieve in today's environment. There's so many things, so many distractions the kids have today. Could be video games, could be other kinds of technology, could be ADHD, other disorders the kids are bothering with today. Difficult to concentrate today. Interval focus is very important to football. The reason that football play lasts between 5 and 7 seconds. What we want to do is we want to focus for that amount of time, the 5 to 7 seconds. So we set up a goal to play hard and smart and skilled each play for 48 minutes. We call it conquering the interval. We want to find a way to have a concentrated, intense interval for 5 to 7 seconds. Our performance objective, basically, what we call the PFO, is position relevant mindset. What kind of a mindset do they want for that particular skill, for their level? Obviously, a quarterback's mindset is different than the right guy. Obviously, a wide receiver's concept for a performance level mindset, wide receiver is different than a linebacker. But we want to understand what that mindset is and execute interval exits for 5 to 7 seconds. Our plan is to build around the interval and approach it aerobically. We want a high-level practice concentration, single play execution. I mentioned the stag call before. We use the stag call to bring kids back to a focus level. I think the keys to internal focus are tempo in practice, drill variety, game-like situations. We also have various levels we practice at. In recent years, our numbers haven't been quite as good as they were before. And we've had to practice at different levels. But offensively, we have what we call snap level, which basically is a play that only lasts like 3 or 4 or 5 seconds. The full level would be a play that lasts 7 seconds, would be a full level. This would be FUD. And we have defense with something called swarm level. We have different levels we'll work at, basically, try to get complete execution, but a different amount of time. In game time, we want to trust our skills and preparation. Okay, how do we facilitate strong focus? Coach's communication style is important. Conditioning is an important factor. Fatigue breaks down all focus. So we don't spend a lot of time in practice conditioning. We don't run a lot of sprints after practice. Basically, we try to condition through the pace of our practice, and then on Saturday mornings, when it's been on Saturday morning, we'll run some down and backs to work on our aerobic conditioning. So basically, when we have to go 48 minutes, we can. So basically, we want to increase our fitness capacity so we can concentrate all the time and focus for the time interval. Okay, transitioning. We want a one play at a time mentality. We talk about conquering the interval, turning the page, the next play mentality like the Patriots do. Some skills we use to focus. We use visualization. We use deep breathing at times. Like we tell the kids, key situation, the huddle, we'll be working hard with the end of the drive. Take 3 breaths, 3 deep breaths. We call these seminal moments. Seminal moments, take 3 deep breaths, refocus yourself, refine yourself, restructure yourself. We also talk about mantras. Mantras, you can either calm yourself down or make it more intense. A couple common mantras are calm, just say, take a deep breath and say calm, or let go. If you want to become more intense, to tell yourself to plug in, to lock in, basically. We actually had a kid that we used a mantra very successfully this year. He's having trouble concentrating the whole game, particularly the second half. So I gave him a mantra and he worked with the mantra. It worked quite well. And, some kids can do it, some kids can't. So like I said, our ultimate goal is to win one play at a time with high-level execution over 48 minutes, right? I found a lot of information under sports psychology online, word focus. All right, mental skill number 6, positivity. Communication approach based on optimism, understanding, openness, and respect. Today, positively is widely accepted approach in coaching. Most people do it. There's a lot of research that proves that it works. A generation ago, like I said, it wasn't necessarily that way. There's a lot of in-your-face, negative coaching, fear-based coaching. Two of the people that I found a lot about positive coaching from, a gal by the name of Barbara Friedrichsen and Martin Selwigman, both written books on positive coaching. And this is what I gleaned. They both say the positivity tends to breed trust, unity, enthusiasm, resilience, high level motivation, and a can do attitude towards problem solving, all enhancing performance. Negative communication often breeds distress, inconsistency, division, conflict, stress, and fear, all emotional traits limiting performance. All right, how do you promote positive communication? Understand your communication style. That's sometimes hard to do. You don't listen to yourself very much on tape or watch yourself coach on tape, although some people do. Um, I've seen people bring in independent, respected coaches to evaluate their coaching style. Bring in a retired coach. Bring in somebody from the community who understands athletics. There's a lot of them around. Have them evaluate your style and make comments on your style. I think you can learn from positive role models. There are a lot of positive role models. I think most successful college coaches are positive role models. Surround yourself with positive people, at all levels of your program, the entire coaching staff, other support members in the staff. Make sure those people are positive. I don't care whether it's the training staff, the strength staff, whatever it is. Surround yourself with positive people. Eliminate negative terms in coaching. I got this from Lou Holtz back in the late 1980s. What he tried to do one year is to eliminate all coaching negative words out of his terminology. Can't, shouldn't, won't, don't. Try to eliminate it. It's a hard thing to do, but you can do it if you work on it. Adopt a constructive comments approach to coaching. What we mean by that is we try not to be criticize coach players. We try to constructively comment to them. When we do that, we usually try to make a positive comment, then say, but, we're going to do this better. I like the forward lean. I like the way you run with the ball. But we're going to work more with your 6-point protection. So that's something that's good. Say, okay, now this is what we're going to do to the next level, basically. Resource books, positivity, like I said, Barbara Friedrichsen and Martin Selwigman. Mental skill number 7, delayed gratification. Okay, that's kind of a different one. Delayed gratification, one of the most important things we can do for our athletes is to understand the value of delayed gratification or preparation. This is all about preparation. Gratification is the reward or satisfaction individuals or teams gain from their efforts. There are two types of gratification: immediate gratification and delayed gratification. Immediate gratification rewards are quickly achieved at times with little or no effort or long-term investment. It's all about shortcuts, getting things done the easy way. Immediate gratification is popular today for a lot of reasons. The pace of life that we have, technology we have around us, the entitlement attitude. We have so many athletes who believe they're entitled. They want to do things the easy way. Immediate gratification has little or no benefit to performance, excellence, or personal growth. Then we have delayed gratification, postponing the gratification. It's all about long-term investment, goal setting, patience, self-control, hard work, determination, fundamental excellence, all traits which lead to personal growth and achievement. It's all about the will to prepare and to buy into that attitude. We try to get our kids to buy into the attitude. It's not preparation, it's not about the will to win, it's about the will to prepare. If we prepare, the wins are going to fall into place. They're going to take care of themselves. How do you promote delayed gratification? Define it as the kind of principle. Highlight role models. I picked 2 role models for delayed gratification. A couple of examples. Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning obviously was a great quarterback. He won his last Super Bowl, 2016, the Super Bowl, the Denver Broncos. And I can remember reading at that time, week before the game, before they even started the team preparation, he had watched every game from the Carolina Panthers already. All 17 games. He watched all 17 games before they started the preparation. J.D. Martinez, DH for and right fielder for the Red Sox. He prepares between at bats. He's the DH. After they're back, he'll go down into the dugout. They've got a net down there with a pitching machine. He just refines his swing between at bats a little bit. So he can go in there. He can just be natural as a hitter. He doesn't think about it, basically. He feels comfortable with his stroke and his swing, and he works between at bats preparation. Other ways to promote delayed gratification. Goal set with your players, adopt an individual player development attitude. We call that IPD. What we'll do on Mondays is Coach Vance will take his players, I'll take my players. We'll sit down basically for 15 to 20 minutes and talk about, okay, where are we right now? What are our strengths as players? All right, now, what are we going to do to get to the next level? And we talk individually for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. All right, as an offensive tackle, we're going to work on your stance basically. You're going to liven up your back, do a little quicker coming out of your stance. The receiver, we're going to work on our escapes and our routes. Each week have something that they can work on, maybe 2 things they can work on to develop fully in their individual skills. We also want to strive as a team, strive for incremental improvement, what we call to the next level. Okay, this guy knew a little bit about problem solving. Einstein said it's not that I'm smarter, it's just that I stay with problems longer. That's about preparation and what preparation is. Mental skill number 8, role acceptance, synergy, but also for teamwork. All right, synergy is a concept we're really big in, and programs I've been involved in have been really highlighted synergy as being important. It's an energy dynamic where the end product is greater than the sum of the parts. The ultimate dynamic in teamwork and chemistry. So that the group of guys who can come together and it's kind of like overachievement. It's like taking the skills together and coming together and achieving beyond what people expect. That's our goal. It's especially relevant to the game of football because football is the greatest team game in the world. It involves so many pieces. Great examples of synergistic teams. New England Patriots, with their success, 2018 Red Sox who won the World Championship. They used their bench very well. They executed very well. They very seldom made mistakes. They had a synergistic team. Possibly the best example of synergy ever was John Wooden's UCLA teams of the 1960s and 70s. Skip can remember those teams for me, but basically they won 10 national championships in 12 years. And John Wooden was all about synergy and the mental face of the game. And another example is the 1980 Olympic hockey team that beat the Russians in the Olympics, basically, in the Miracle on Ice. They were a synergistic team. I kind of look at football, I look at it as a mosaic metaphor. Each year, we've got a mosaic to put together. And as coaches, we're going to take care of the pieces that we've got. You might have 60 pieces, that's great. You might have 40 pieces, that's great too. Right now, we're down to about 30 pieces. We're going to take all those pieces, develop them fully with our individual skills, and fit them into a mosaic. I think that's what we want to do. All right? Creating a synergistic dynamic. Promote synergy as a counter principle. Okay? Team philosophy on a bulletin board. It's amazing how much can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit. Coaches' communication, role understanding for all players. We have pizzas weekly, like a lot of teams give away pizzas and Italians or whatever. We give it away under the category of accomplishment without recognition. So each week, we pick up 5 kids who've done something that didn't get a lot of recognition that we give. It could be one of our young kids. It could be a look team player. It could be an offensive lineman. It could be anybody. We try to pick those guys who did something that didn't look for recognition. Avoid those pieces in that particular area. We got coach's ability and communication skill and making position changes is important. And also, one thing about creating synergy, I think how How do your elite athletes, your best athletes, understand their roles? What is their buy-in? Do they buy into the preparation? Do they buy into the leadership dynamic? Personally, I think they have to buy in. Their job is to make everybody else around them better. That's their job. They have to step up at crunch time. They have to lead by example. So I think part of your team synergy is how your best athletes accept that synergy, accept what their role is. And resources for synergy. The picture of John Wooden's triangle, pyramid of excellence, basically, and you can find this online. It's really pretty good. I'm sure some of you guys might have seen it before, but I've seen a lot of coaches who have this in their office. All right, last mental skill number 9, what I call result detachment. Playing with competitive freedom, executing your best at crunch time. Okay, definition, focusing on the process and not the result. This is something sports psychologists have been doing for quite a few years now. Process focusing has become popular in all sports. University of Alabama, a lot of teams have it. It started with Nick Saban back in the 80s when he was at Michigan, basically. The process is, how do you do it? How do you get it done? It's not the result. It's not winning the trophy. It's not the national championship. It's the process of getting there. There are 2 types of focus. There's what's called outcome focus and process focus. Now, outcome focus is when you focus on the award, the trophy, whatever it is, basically. Problems with outcome focus. Many factors are uncontrollable. You can't control your opponent's performance. You can't control playing conditions. You can't control bad breaks or official calls. The mental problems with outcome focus. Creates a negative mindset, creates overanalyzation, creates distracted concentration, and performance anxiety. Now, process focusing, the advantage is here. Now you focus on controllable factors, your individual and team techniques that you've worked on, your emotional investment, your well-prepared strategy. You've worked on all these things. But basically, you feel comfortable and trust these things. Mental advantages of process focusing are process-related focusing preparation creates confidence, a positive thought process, challenge-oriented attitude, and trust. How do you enhance result attachment? You define it and clarify it as an essential principle. You create fundamental excellence through your job variety and creative teaching, both team and individual. You focus on the interval. You block out the noise, and you work through distractions to do your job. You promote high-level crunch time execution as an expectation. That's fun. Build the crunch time execution in your players and your playmakers. We try to create situation excellence with preparation, authenticity. In practice, we try to create defense and offensive game-type situations. For instance, we have sudden change situations that we work on that are built into our defensive script. We have transition situations in our offensive scripts that are built in. We run every Thursday. We run a last-second field goal, basically, from the sideline with no timeouts left. We work on 2-point conversions, both offense and defense, every Thursday before game. So we built a lot of game-type situations into our practice sessions. So basically, when we do them in the game, we're comfortable with what we're doing. Basically, we trust our execution. Okay, in closing, mental skills competency, I think that they're the winning edge, basically. With the key to consistency, and you can train them just like any other skill. Mental skills can be trained just like any other skill in athletics. You just have to identify them, highlight them, plan, and execute. They're the key to consistency. They're adaptable to any team's culture, and they are gratifying to players and coaches. When you win with mental skills, it's really gratifying when you do that. Okay, questions at all?
You guys have some questions for Coach? You can throw them up in the chat, or you can even turn your screen right on. That's fine. Coach, if you want to take your screen down, you can.
Okay. How do I do that?
I think you just hit that share screen button again, and it lets you close it down.
Okay. I got you. Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, good. Any,
Coach, I've got a quick question for you. I know you enjoy reading. What are some books that you've read recently that you would throw out there as good suggestions for the rest of us?
I mentioned one that the book on mental toughness. That's a real interesting book, very interesting book. Okay, recently the best book I just finished was called "The Real All Americans," and it's a story about the Carlisle Indians at the turn of the century with Jim Thorpe, and what happened basically is, because of what was going on with the Indians is that they had the butt kicked by the Cowboys. They brought a bunch of the Indians east, and they started Carlisle College in Pennsylvania, and they built a lot of the identity of the college around football. And when they started, they were awful. They were awful. But within 20 years, um, Pop Warner was one of the coaches among other people. Within 20 years, they were competing with the best teams in the country. In fact, one year they won a national championship. And it was very interesting teaching Indians how to play football. And
Okay, I'll have to check that out. I used to drive right through Carlisle on my way down to North Carolina.
really, and no, it's called The Real All Americans. It's a real interesting read, and good. It's an interesting story about Jim Thorpe, what he did.
All right, Coach Goff has a question up here. It says, in terms of not accepting mental errors, what are the ways that you hold your players accountable who have issues in that area?
Hey, comes from practice. We don't accept it in practice. You know, if there's a mental error in practice, there's accountability. Usually something simple. Give me an example, Coach Goff. Give me an example. Give me an example of a mental error.
A guy that continues to jump off sides or false start.
Okay. One thing to begin with, when it first happened, he would begin with a progressive, like he'd do 10 push-ups. All right. Then he'd have to run 50 yards and back. Then he'd have to run more than that. If that didn't work, it was really a mental block. I might try a mantra coming out of the huddle. Okay, plays just calls, so it's on two or something. So when he broke the huddle, just take a deep breath and say two, two, or something like that. Or it could say calm, or some word that calmed him down a little bit. Kid we had last year had trouble defensively jumping off sides all the time. So I gave him a focus basically, and it was plug in, and plug into him meant that okay, now I gotta move on the ball. I can't move on the unsound. I gotta move on the ball. I have to plug into the situation. So use something like a mantra like that. I work. You try that. A lot of times I'll just sit down with a kid and say, hey, it's time that you mature. You're a senior now. We've had this problem for 3 years. Let's sit down. Let's play as a focus there, athlete. And I'd sit down with him every Monday on the practice deal and say, okay, Joe, this is what you're going to do. You got to focus on every interval, basically. Doing it 90% of the time is not good enough. You've got to develop your focus all the time and do it in practice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know, Coach Goff, we take a cone and sit it about, I don't know, maybe 50 to 80 yards off the practice field. And when our receivers drop a pass in practice, they don't even have to ask or be told. They just turn and run to the cone. And it's become something more that the kids in the position group enforce more than we enforce. Like an older kid, if an older kid drops the ball, he just takes off and runs. And then the younger kid might say, what is that guy doing? And they say, oh, when we get a ball in the hands, we're supposed to catch it. We don't catch it. We run to the cone, and then we can catch some when we come back. So that's been an easy one that we put in. It's not like, a super bad punishment or whatever, but I think it's cool when the guys in the position group have a little bit of ownership of it and, kind of police it on their own.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We don't look at it as a punishment either. We just look at it as a culture. This is it. We don't make mistakes. We're not going to break down. Details are important. Like I said, we start with a warm-up. We do 4 jumping jacks. When we do a grass drill, we don't touch our knees in the ground. We do a push-up. We come right off the ground. We don't touch our knees. So it's part of a culture. Just little things in the culture.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else out there got anything? Coach Capone, you got anything there?
I'm good. Great job, John. As usual, I got my notebook full.
Yeah, appreciate it, Coach. That was awesome, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, guys, something as simple as just like one of the things we used to do on defense when I was at Bates. If you dropped an interception, you immediately did 5 push-ups. Something really quick that didn't disrupt the tempo of practice, and it wasn't like just okay, boom, 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 going out. Sometimes we'd have the entire defense do 5 real quick, just go. And that would kind of get that mentality. It's, we only get so many chances to get the ball. One of the things I'm going to do with our offensive line this year, again, if we have an illegal procedure, we're immediately going to go 5 push-ups and get back out. Let's go. Hopefully they'll figure it out. They'll be big and strong and you have a body. I'm not sure which, but we'll get it done.
Now, do you men also, let's say that you have a lot of these mistakes that are happening in the football game itself on Friday night or Saturday afternoon?
Right.
Are you waiting for these guys on Monday? And
don't say anything. Kids don't make mistakes on purpose, basically. Come off the field, say, Matt, that's unacceptable. We can't do that. Let's plug in. Let's get it done. So I would never berate a kid on the sideline. In fact, I don't berate kids anyways, but I would never get in a kid's face ever. So, they don't make mistakes in the game on purpose. So
right.
Practice. You got to practice a certain culture. Hopefully, it's going to carry over. If it doesn't, you say, hey, come on, let's get, let's lock in. Let's be sharper.
Right.
When you're going to, like, a kid drops the ball, he didn't drop it on purpose. Rather than saying you got to catch that thing, be instructive. Keep your hands together, proper hand placement, look it in, whatever. And that way you're coaching at the same time. The kid gets it, but he's also getting coached. Rather than saying, catch the goddamn ball. Yeah, no shit. We all know he's supposed to catch the ball. He knows he's supposed to catch it. But now you're coaching. He gets it. You saw it, and then we just move on.
Right.
Things like that. Lost audio.
Coach Wolfgram, I can't hear you.
Coach Hath, you got to bail him out, brother.
I'm going to try here. I'm going to try to mute him and unmute him, see if that works. Coach, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yeah.
I got you back. That worked.
Mike Hath, you're the best, baby. You're awesome. I now owe you 2 6-packs.
It was just the old turn it off, turn it back on trick.
There you go. Good.
You know that one.
It's about my level.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Did you hear what I just said about defensive interception, whatever? Did you hear that? I don't
know. No, go ahead and rehash that one.
Go ahead, John. Do it again.
Defense, we, as part of our script, we'll probably run between 15 and 20 plays. If we ever make a pick, basically, against a scout team, we score. We take it all away. We sprint all the way. Everybody in the defense goes down and shakes the kid's hand, basically. So we want that type of level of play, basically, that type of upbeat play. So instead of doing like 30 plays at 7-8 speed, we'd rather do 15 plays at full. And we make a pick. We want to score. We want to make a score out of it. That type of thing. Okay. I tell you, sometimes it's difficult when you have 30 kids in a team to get game-like situations. But if you're creative, you can do it. So, creating game-like situations is huge.
All right, guys. Anything else for Coach?
Mike Hathaway, thanks a lot. Skip, thank you very much. Appreciate
John,
it.
great job, man, as usual.
Right,
Look
man.
forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, Coach. We'll see you around.